something really brief? Willing for it to be brief? Really brief?
It's brief because from the moment I sat down to this moment, everything just changed beautifully. And I wrote you a letter, Abraham, last week, and your opening words was your letter back to me. Every word was exactly what I needed to hear. And I put my notepad away. I no longer needed a reference of what I wanted to say. I just want to share quickly that on the drive here this morning, I manifested an epiphany. And I'm an artist.
Before you go further,
okay.
We are so eager to hear this from you. We just want to stick some words in here.
Oh, great.
Because the getting ready to be ready, you got that? We know you do. So every moment is a manifestation. Every moment is a manifestation. It's a manifestation of something. So the early manifestations, it's a manifestation of satisfaction, of satisfaction, of satisfaction. Your words were so wonderful. I manifested an epiphany. So what you're saying is the vibration turned to a thought which turned to a thought which turned to a thought that's big enough that it feels like an epiphany. We just wanted to stick what you lived in to the scenario that we've been describing here so that you get what we're talking about. Epiphany.
So I've been a step one master my whole life until I was introduced to you and your laws and teachings about 8 months ago. The epiphany has to do with the contrast. And as an artist, it occurred to me this morning that when I'm creating my art, I look for the contrast. I create the contrast. I pump up the contrast because that's where the beauty is in the image.
Yeah.
And
in fact, there is no image without it.
Right. And so I thought to myself, why can I not look at my life contrast with such joy and beauty?
Don't you like how her thoughts have turned? Thought. Yes.
So
milk it. Take it a little further. Let's milk it. They're ready. They want it.
Well, I was going to ask for clarity since I know so well what...
But let's just milk this.
Okay.
There's a sort of a tendency to get to a good place and then you're in such a good place. Now can we deal with the problem? So let's just take that epiphany. What were you saying about contrast?
It's so beautiful in my images, and when it's lacking, it's a dull image. It doesn't excite me. There's nothing to engage in. It's not inspirational, and so I punch the images and I give it the contrast so that it stops people.
And as the image is taking form on the canvas, does it start out general and vague?
Definitely.
And then it gets sharper and sharper and sharper and sharper and
Correct.
sharper and sharper and sharper and sharper and sharper as you move along.
Yes.
What you're describing in your painting is exactly what we are wanting you to feel in your own life experiences.
My own life experience.
This is a really good time for a segment of reflection.
Thank you.
Enough?
One more question.
Yeah.
Could you speak to the interplay between choice and destiny?
All that you call destiny is choice. What feels like destiny are the incremental choices that you made by knowing what you do want and knowing what you don't want and throwing them individually into your vortex. We'll talk about that in case you don't know about the vortex, but if you don't know about it, where have you been? When you get a whiff of your vortex, it feels like destiny because it's calling you in such a strong way. But the destiny in this conversation was made up of individual choices that you were making. And then we must speak to choices that you've made even before you came into this physical experience that don't vary at all vibrationally from who you are and the desires that you are determining now. But it feels to you like a calling, and that's why you call it destiny. Esther was talking to a friend about that yesterday, that sometimes there's just a feeling that is so strong and it cannot be denied. And if you feel it and you turn from it to do something else instead, sometimes you start feeling a sort of paralyzation. In other words, you cannot not go in the direction of this powerful calling and be satisfied. But that requires a little trust. That's why we explain it to you in this way. You were non-physical energy before you came into this physical body. Yes. And here you are in this physical body. Yay. And the non-physical part of you is still non-physically focused and flowing to you and through you all the time, but non-physically focused. So here you are with your physical perspective, sifting and sorting, knowing what you don't want, knowing what you do want, and asking continually for this and that. And so these rockets of desires are going forth into this vibrational reality that we have named the vortex, because we wanted you to feel the reality of it, even though you cannot yet see it or hear it or smell it or taste it or touch it. It's the vibrational version of all that you have become. And your inner being stands there strong and benefited by the choices that you've been making as you've been sifting and sorting. So this non-physical part of you now is standing there in all of that clarity and all of that knowing, and no doubt, no lackful anything, all things wanted, because you sifted it out one experience at a time. And now, because your inner being is there, and most important, because law of attraction is responding to this entity called you and your non-physical inner being and all that you've asked for, as law of attraction is responding to that, cooperative components are being called to it. And you, who have the most vibrational, we'll call it DNA, it's wrong terminology, but the most vibrational hooking to it, because you created it. There is nothing in all of the universe that this cooperative, you are the most desired cooperative component. Let's put it that way. Your inner being is most desirous of you being a cooperative component to your own creation. And that's why it feels like such a powerful calling. And that's why you feel such satisfaction when you have any thought that moves you toward it. And it's why you feel an uneasy tugging when you have any thought that takes you from it. So if you have thoughts like, I can't do that, or I'm not ready for that, or I'm not worthy of that, or there's injustice or unfairness, if you go contrary to any of the knowledge that you have come to through all that you have lived, then you aren't moving in the direction of your destiny. And the reason that the word destiny is a good word is because can you feel the inevitability of it, the absoluteness of it? In other words, this is destiny. This is certain. This is who you are. We just don't think you should have to croak to get there. We think that you have the ability to pay attention to how you feel and to thought by thought allow yourself to be called by this powerful law of attraction that is calling you and all of the cooperative components there. How many what you call synchronistic things, or maybe even coincidental things, happen, and you marvel at the oddness of that coincidence when we revel in the sureness of the attraction. So much is going on, and as you pay attention, as you notice the cooperative components of which you are a part, and you revel in them no matter how large or small they feel. Esther and her family were on their way to have breakfast somewhere over the holidays, and when they got there, friends that they had been thinking about and wishing to be with met them accidentally in the parking lot. Not coincidental. Energy had been flowing and the orchestration was taking place, and each of them was inspired to be at that place at that time for the rendezvous that non-physical is orchestrating for you all day, every day. And then another event and another event and another event and another event, until in time you begin to understand that your destiny's got you. Your destiny has you, you see. Your destiny made up of individual choices. But you got to make the choice to want to feel good to even be anywhere near it. Is destiny a word like God that we can never speak to you again? Don't mess up the idea of destiny. Let it be your long-term intentionality that you are adding to every day of choices. Destiny couldn't exist if it were not for choices. And destiny couldn't be discovered, or you couldn't find your way to it if it weren't for the choice of wanting to feel good. There's no destiny that you have to think those thoughts. You have choices, free will in every thought that you think. But ultimately, you'll end up in a really good feeling place for a minute, for a little while, because you'll jump right back in with both feet into more choosing, because choosing is what's necessary for eternity. Very good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Good morning. We are extremely pleased that you are here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree? Yes. You are enjoying your leading edge position? Yes. You are enjoying how life calls new desire forward in you? You are enjoying that natural expansion of your own desire? You like clarifying it? You like tuning to your desire? Do you realize that that is what deliberate creating is? It's lining up with your desire. You like knowing that you are the creator of your own experience? Do you? Not so much, huh? Well, we know, we watch you. At first, it's invigorating to realize that you create your own reality until you see what a mess you're making of it. And then you'd like to blame someone else. Mother, it's mother. It's mother. Well, we like knowing that you create your own reality, and we like you knowing that you do. And the more consciously aware you are of that, then the happier your day-to-day experience is. The less you need things around you to be a particular way so that you can merely observe good-feeling things and feel good. The less you do of that, then the more powerful you are, really. Because the more ability you have to keep yourself steady anyway. So many people are living very conditional lives where their moods or attitudes follow their observation of things. And then they set out really fervently attempting the impossible, which is to control the conditions around them so that they can have some measure of control about how they feel. But it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work out well for them. And we want you to not be among those conditional observers of life. We want you to let your observation please you, because it's from that observation that you come to your own conclusion of your own preferences. But once those preferences have hatched within you, once you begin to have ideas of what you want, then it's a matter of deliciously focusing and feeling yourself aligning with your desire while you feel law of attraction responding to your focus and the momentum of your desire building within you even before it manifests. If you could get hooked on that, we're calling it that sweet spot, that feeling of your desire in the process of becoming, even before it's had that last bump into manifestation. If you could love it in the becoming, then, the satisfaction that you're going to feel when it becomes is going to knock your socks off. And not only that, not only are you going to have so much more satisfaction as it unfolds, as it makes that last movement into where you can see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it, but all the way along the way, even before it was visible to you, it was known to you by your enthusiasm for it. It was known to you by your appreciation of the idea of it. But it was not visually translatable quite yet. You couldn't hear it or see it or smell it or taste it or touch it, but you still felt the joy of its becoming. That is our desire for you. Because you are, we all are, but we're talking to you. You are always going to be in a state of on your way to the manifestation of something more. And if you have developed a habit of being unhappy till you get there, then not only do you make your life miserable as you're always yearning for something not yet achieved, but you slow it way, 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 way down. And then you have to develop qualities. You're not very good at this either, such as patience and endurance. We don't want you to be patient. We want you to be joyously romping full force toward the things that you want, because the cooperative components of the universe are doing that on your behalf. So there are some questions that you must have about why you would hold yourself in vibrational discord to a natural and swift unfolding of your desires. And we can speak it to you simply by just saying you offer opposing thoughts about your desires. And those opposing thoughts that you offer about your desires, you might call them beliefs. I want this, but I just don't believe it. And usually the reason you don't believe it is because you haven't witnessed yourself experiencing it before. And so the belief that you hold is laced in so much opposition to your desire that the term for that state of consciousness has to be doubt. I want this, but I doubt it. Well, when you want something and doubt it, you hold yourself in a very uncomfortable tension. And of course, you're not wanting it and doubting it in the same moment, because you can't hold that convoluted of a thought till it manifests and you observe it. Because you're thinking one thought at a time, really. So when you are thinking of something that you desire, the question is, how does it feel when you're thinking the thought? And the way it feels is your clue about whether this is a desire thought or whether this is a doubt thought.